The rain outside painted the cafe windows with trembling streaks of silver, and every drop that fell seemed to echo the ache inside Daniel's heart. He wasn't supposed to be here, not tonight, not like this. A single father who had built his entire world around his little girl, he'd long buried the idea of ever letting anyone else in. But sometimes, life has a way of surprising you when your heart is least prepared. He had come here for a simple dinner, to meet a woman who had once been just a stranger with a kind smile. Yet, by the end of the night, his world would change in a way he never imagined. Before the story unfolds, if you believe in kindness, love, and second chances, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us bring more heart-touching stories to life. Daniel's life had been quiet, predictable, and painfully lonely. He woke up early each morning, packed his daughter Lily's lunch with small notes of encouragement, and dropped her off at school before heading to work. He wasn't bitter, he was grateful. For the roof over their heads, for Lily's laughter that filled the small apartment, for the memories of his late wife that kept him grounded. But grief had a strange way of lingering. Even after 3 years, it clung to him like a shadow, whispering that he'd never be enough, that moving on would mean forgetting the woman who once made his world whole. When his friend convinced him to attend a small community event one weekend, Daniel went mostly out of politeness. He didn't expect to meet anyone until he saw her. Claire. She was standing near a stall, helping an elderly woman carry her bags, her laughter soft and genuine. There was something about her, a quiet strength, a warmth that made him forget for a moment that he was still healing. They spoke briefly that day, nothing deep, just a simple conversation about books and coffee and the unpredictable spring weather. Yet when she smiled goodbye, he felt something stir, a small, almost forgotten spark. Weeks passed before he saw her again, this time at the same cafe he often took Lily to on rainy Saturdays. Claire worked nearby, and fate, it seemed, had its own gentle plans. Their encounters grew more frequent, small hellos, warm smiles, brief talks about life and work. It was Lily who noticed first. She would tug at Daniel's sleeve and whisper, "Daddy, she looks nice." She smiles like Mommy used to. Her words hit deeper than she could ever know. He never wanted his daughter to feel the emptiness he felt, and yet somehow he feared filling that space too soon. It was Lily's idea to invite Claire to dinner. She had spent the whole afternoon drawing a little handmade card that said, "Dinner with Daddy and me." Daniel tried to gently decline, but the sparkle in Lily's eyes made it impossible. He found himself typing the message, hesitantly, nervously, asking Claire if she'd like to join them for dinner at their favorite cafe. To his surprise, she agreed. The evening arrived draped in soft rain. The cafe glowed with golden lights and the comforting scent of roasted coffee beans. Claire arrived in a simple cream blouse, her hair loose, her smile radiant yet humble. Daniel felt a strange nervousness, the kind he hadn't felt in years. Lily, in her yellow dress, was more excited than either of them, greeting Claire with the uninhibited joy only children possess. Dinner began lightheartedly. Small jokes, stories from Lily's school, moments of laughter that filled the quiet corners of Daniel's guarded heart. Claire listened attentively, her eyes soft whenever she looked at Lily, her voice gentle when she spoke to Daniel. For the first time in years, he felt seen, not as a widower or a father doing his best, but as a man who still had the capacity to smile, to feel alive. As the night unfolded, the rain grew heavier outside. People hurried out with umbrellas, but the three of them stayed, talking about dreams and life and the small things that make days brighter. Claire told stories about her own childhood, the way her father taught her to make pancakes on Sundays, how she'd sit by the window during storms and count lightning flashes. Lily listened in awe, her eyes wide, her little hands resting on her chin. And then, it happened. It was a simple moment, so small that Daniel almost missed it. Lily reached across the table, took Claire's hand and said softly, "Mommy used to tell stories like that." Then she paused, her voice trembling with childlike innocence. "You can tell stories like her, Mommy." The cafe fell silent. The clinking of cups, the hum of soft jazz, all of it faded. Daniel froze. Claire's eyes filled with tears she didn't try to hide. She reached over, brushed a strand of Lily's hair and whispered, "Thank you, sweetheart." Daniel's heart ached, not from grief, but from something deeper, hope, the kind he'd locked away for too long. After that night, things began to change, slowly but beautifully. Claire became a gentle presence in their lives. She never tried to replace anyone, never forced her way in. She simply was there. She'd join them for Saturday breakfasts, help Lily with her drawings, and sometimes bring Daniel coffee when he worked late. The walls he'd built so carefully began to soften, one smile at a time. But healing is rarely simple. There were days Daniel pulled away, overwhelmed by guilt, wondering if loving again meant betraying the memory of his late wife. One evening, he found himself sitting alone after putting Lily to bed, staring at an old photograph. Their wedding day, their laughter frozen in time. Tears burned his eyes. He whispered an apology to the silence, admitting his confusion, his fear, and his longing. That's when he felt something shift. Not a voice, not a sign, but a quiet acceptance that maybe love wasn't about replacing what was lost, but honoring it by allowing his heart to open again. When he saw Claire the next morning, standing by the cafe window with her hands wrapped around a cup of coffee, he realized something profound. Grief had been his shadow, but love was his light. Months passed, seasons changed. Lily grew taller, her laughter louder. Claire became family, not by name but by heart. She brought warmth to their home, laughter to their mornings, and peace to Daniel's once tired soul. Yet the true magic came from the way she and Lily bonded. They painted together, baked cookies, made messy crafts, and whispered secrets that Daniel was never allowed to hear. One Sunday morning, as sunlight poured through the windows, Lily came running into the living room, clutching a piece of paper. She handed it to Daniel with a proud grin. It was a drawing, 3 stick figures holding hands under a rainbow. Above them, in her innocent handwriting, it said, "Me, Daddy, and Mommy." Daniel's throat tightened. He looked at Claire, who stood in the doorway, tears glistening in her eyes. In that moment, he knew it wasn't just a picture. It was a promise. That night, Daniel took Claire back to the same cafe where it all began. The rain was gentle, just like before. They sat at the same table, memories swirling around them like soft music. He took a deep breath and told her what he'd been too afraid to say, that she had become more than a friend, more than a comfort. She had become the missing heartbeat in their little family. He told her how Lily called her Mommy that night, not by mistake, but by instinct, because love, pure and simple, recognizes its own. Claire's tears spilled freely as Daniel reached for her hand. He didn't need to say anything else. The cafe lights reflected in her eyes as she nodded, her heart speaking louder than words ever could. Outside, the rain eased, as if the sky itself was blessing the moment. They say love often returns when you stop searching for it, and kindness finds you when you least expect it. For Daniel, it came wrapped in laughter and small hands, in quiet dinners and unspoken hope. It came not to erase the past, but to remind him that life, no matter how broken, always finds a way to heal. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Every click helps us share more stories of love, hope, and second chances.